Hello and welcome to this episode of the Tekken School series. Today we're going to talk about duck into instant while standing punish. This is kind of like a technique a lot of intermediate players start picking up. You don't want to use it too much, but it is useful. You do want to learn it, and for the very minimum, you want to know how to deal with it when people are doing it, how to identify it, and so on. So what am I talking about? Well, what is this duck into while standing? So generally speaking, when you duck, you avoid highs, you lose to mids, and you beat lows. Generally, when you're ducking, you're either reacting or reading a low, or you're reacting to a high. But there's also another form of ducking where you duck to, or you could be hedging against all sorts of options, right? But there's also another form of ducking where you read a high and you duck to while standing punish it. So while standing punish, there's usually while standing 4 is your fast option, right? You have your while standing 13 frames, which are usually pretty solid, and while standing launchers from usually 15. Some are a bit faster, some are a bit slower. Either way, you have your while standing launchers. So what I was talking about earlier with the ducking is you can set up situations where your opponent is very likely to jab or use fast highs, and you, in response, kind of preemptively duck and look for a while standing launch, or you just do it automatically like this. So I'll give a few examples, but first let me set you up to not do anything on block. Okay, so how do we set these kind of situations up? First of all, as always in Tekken, we kind of suss our opponents. We try to poke them a little bit. We see what they do, right? So there are different ranges where opponents react, and some people react right when they're +1 or 2, right? If you do a 1-2, usually you're -3. Some characters are -1 when they're 1-1s, like Mishima's. So some people react immediately in these kind of scenarios, but many people will start reacting whenever people become -6 to -7, 8, 9, because once you are that minus, right, for example, on this, right, -7, stepping becomes not an option. You can't really step anymore. What do I mean by that is, let's say I become +6, right, and my opponent tries to step, okay, my jabs will start hitting my opponent, okay? So as you can see, my jabs are hitting him. When you're just something yeah, +2 or something, does this not work because yeah, it's because he's forced to crouch. So let's put him to step right. Could you please? Hello? Yeah. Right, as you can see, not plus enough. But this does catch him. So when you're -6, your movement is restricted, and you can't really go sideways to beat jabs, which makes jabs even stronger. So people are more likely to use them because they hedge against more options. When you are in these kind of situations, right, after you use your maybe more committal moves, maybe moves that have more reward, possibly, then your opponent is more likely to jab. Now, once you test him a little bit, right, you check him with all sorts of moves like that. If you see they do like to jab, they do like to retaliate, right? So let's say our opponent kind of behaves like this, right? Especially if it's Mishima players who have these kind of counter hit confirmable jab strings. Well, not counter hit, sorry, normal hit confirmable jab strings where they want to test you out because it's a really good options for them. So if you see that kind of thing, or right, this kind of thing, and you don't want to deal with it, or you want to punish them hard for it, because if you have a read on your opponent in Tekken, you should get a good punish. What you could do is just immediately duck, right? Just commit to the duck, and then you get while standing punish. This is the duck into while standing punish. I often deal with this in blue ranks, and even in the higher ranks, I see this a lot. So I think it's good to kind of know what this is and how to deal with it too. So first of all, when you do this, if you are the one doing it, make sure to kind of know what kind of jab strings your opponent has. People who like to throw 1-1s, you don't want to do right, this always immediately, because you can get hit by the second jab, as you can see, unless you have a launcher that is really really good at low profiling, right? Then you want to go for something else. Now you can always go for a full crouch punish and just take your turn, like so, right? You see I'm just doing the dick jab we talked about. right? So I'm just doing this and I'm grabbing my turn here. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It's pretty solid. But for people who want to get like something bigger, make sure you know what kind of jab strings your opponent will press. So they could be doing something like the thing I just showed, or they could do like a 1-2, which has like maybe different kind of recovery. They could just be throwing out one jab. Some people throw out one jabs. For these people, we really do want to do it automatically. It's really hard to catch like a punish otherwise. That's how it looks like on a jab though, for people who are wondering. As you can see, the window is pretty tight. Yeah, that's how it should look like. If you do it smoothly, you will beat out people who are just jabbing, right? Like this. You see, you can barely see me ducking there. Oh, okay. We're fucking it up a bit. That's okay. It's part of learning, right? And you can get a really good punish. Now, if you're not sure about your ability to do it like this, you can always, right, do something like this. Or go back to using the dick jab that we talked about. Sorry. Right, like this. Both are okay to use. Right, depending on your tools, of course. Maybe your tools are better for one thing or another. But yeah, that's basically how you do it on your own offense. I recommend doing this and looking for this only from like -6 or above. Especially for moves that feel like they should be punished. And when I say that, what do I mean? While... let's say this string that's like -3, or like this move that's like -4, oh, -9, right? While they are like minus, and you could set up like these kind of jab punishes from them, this move is a launcher, for example. People are very likely to try and jab after this, right? This move is like a knockdown mid, right? Things that give off the like appearance that they will be punishable are really good candidates to use for it. I know this sounds really slimy, but this is like this does work. Like things like this should be kind of like, you should be aware of them, where like when you hit somebody with like a knockdown mid that has several hits, right? They feel like, oh, after this, like it should be like my turn, maybe I get a punish here. Unlike this like fast poke that people don't really think is -9, even though yeah, it is. So yeah, always keep these kind of things in mind when you are setting these things up. Now let's talk about dealing with this on defense. If somebody's doing this to you, how do you deal with it, right? So I recorded like Devil Jin doing this. Maybe I'll just record him actually doing something else. Yeah, like this I think is a -5 on block if I'm not wrong. So we'll do this. Sorry. Record again. Into this. Okay, so he's doing his like immediate thing there. Okay, so he's gonna do this, and okay, he's getting hit by, yeah, and he's punishing my jab. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, if you do it immediately, then you will probably get hit by jabs. But it's something that you kind of need to get used to. You kind of need to know your opponent's reaction. You can see that I timed it pretty badly. Maybe I should have done something simpler for this. Problem is I don't really know frame data for Devil Jin. Okay, yeah, that's a punish. Okay. Yeah, because it's -9, so it's like a pretty good example. Oh, sorry. And we get punished. So, to deal with these kind of things, what you want to do is consider like what kind of moves your opponent wants to use. Generally speaking, when you set these kind of traps out, if you see your opponent is doing this, and remember Tekken is like a best of 3, it's not like a first to 1. So whenever you see your opponent doing this, make sure that after you see these moves that are usually fairly minus, you poke with like your fast mid. So you have like either these kind of mids, your down forward 1s, they're usually pretty fast. You have your down forward 4s are usually pretty fast. You should look for your fast mids. Now when I say fast mids, I'm saying 12 frame to 17 frame, and hopefully something that is safe. It's better to poke with safe stuff to check your opponent. If you have some tracking on it, that's really good too. So either these kind of super fast mids, down forward ones, or you got like these kind of mid strings that usually will be safe on block. Maybe they have a duckable portion, but generally they're safe. Right, so as you can see, if I set up the recording, right, this works. This works. It's good to check it after something that is like minus 15 or minus 5 or minus 6. That's when people start doing it. So you want something that covers like most of their options. So yeah, this is kind of like how you deal with it. We talked about how to use it. I think this is like a useful tool. I don't want to overuse it. It's just like if you see your opponent has specific tendencies with jabbing or with like reacting with like some sort of like a high move. Yeah, like this for Fang, the back one, or well, whatever they're doing. Doesn't matter what they're doing. Or even if they're using grabs, because remember, grabs are also highs. If you see somebody has these kind of tendencies, you can use this to punish them. I hope this was useful. Remember your homework. Find your mids that you use in this kind of scenario to check it for defense. And also, I want you to find the move that you have that is minus 6 or more on block. And I want you to practice this setup and use it in a real match, okay? These are your 2 sets of homework. One move that is like minus 6 or more, less than minus 10, of course, because if people are jabbing, you'll get punished. So minus 6 to minus 9 move that you can set this up with and do it in a game. And the other thing is to find fast mid that you can punish opponents doing this. Okay, we got it. Okay, with that said, if you ever have any questions, you can always drop them in the comments. I'll see you in the next video, and bye-bye for now.